This video is going to be going over what are the best perks to be using inside Warzone right now. This is something we've not covered in a while and we want to go back over it just to let you know what are the best ones. If you do enjoy content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 50k subscribers. Click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. But let's get straight into this, and what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the perk 1 slot, then go through to perk 2 and then perk 3. So starting off at perk 1, we've got a couple of good options here in this category when it comes to perks. Double time increases the duration of your tactical sprint. Now, if you feel like you're getting around a lot slower and you want to be able to move around a lot quicker, then tactical sprinting is the best way forward. It allows you to sprint a lot faster than your standard sprint. Now, usually you need to click on your analog stick, or if you're on auto tac sprint, then it will automatically lift your gun up and run that way. Now, this is only useful if you don't know how to slide cancel. If you know how to slide cancel, then you don't really need double time, because if you slide cancel, it resets your tac sprint. Reduce damage from explosives. Now, considering explosives do even more damage than they did before on Verdansk, now explosives actually do 250 damage in some cases, so you definitely need to be using EOD. It's probably the most popular one in my opinion, the most popular perk 1. Scavenger replenishes ammo from dead players. This is kind of dumb because you do this anyway inside Warzone. Now, it's only useful if it's maybe like end game and you're not really killing all that many players, and even if you kill one player, you're going to get a ton more ammo. But again, it's not really that useful a perk inside Warzone or Rebirth or anything like that. Cold-blooded is another solid option. Now, currently cold-blooded is actually really good inside Warzone, and the reason for that is because, first of all, you don't show up if another player is using high alert or combat scout, which is getting really popular right now. But on top of that, you don't show up on the snapshot grenades, which is probably the other most popular thing that gets used. Now, the whole thermal optic thing is not really all that important, and the AI targeting systems is mainly for kind of plunder users. But for cold-blooded, the main ones you need to focus yourself with is the counter to high alert, combat scout, and the snapshot grenades, and that is why it's definitely still a solid option. Kill chain, it gives you kill streaks, or inside Warzone it increases your chances of finding a kill streak. But again, this is not too important because you can really go to the buy station and buy a kill streak if you need to. There's kill streaks all over the game anyway. Quick Fix is a perk that I would mainly recommend for Iron Trials because the health regeneration delay on Iron Trials is way too slow. So if you're playing the new Rebirth Iron Trials mode, then Quick Fix might be a solid option for you. And on top of that, I think it's really useful for Rebirth in general, because being able to regen your health straight after a gunfight will maybe allow you to win one more gunfight depending on your skill level. So I do actually think Quick Fix is a really good perk. I think if they made it slightly different and made it a bit more powerful, then it could actually be extremely useful. Like if it boosted your movement speed for a couple of seconds as well, I think that'd be really handy. Currently, I still think it's a solid option. So if we're picking the best 3 perks in the perk 1 slot, is EOD, Cold-Blooded, and Quick Fix. Moving on into the perk 2 slot, this is probably the slot where I think there's a lot of really useful perks. And starting off, we do have Restocked. Now, Restocked I think is actually a really solid option when it comes to perks. And the reason for that is because it recharges all of your equipment. So it's going to be your throwables, so like your stuns, your stims. It's going to also recharge your Semtexes or your grenades or whatever you're using. And it's going to take 50 seconds to do that. Now, I wish it was like 30 seconds. It'd make it a bit more viable inside Warzone. It might allow you to win a couple more gunfights if it was a little bit faster. But definitely still a solid perk nonetheless. Then we've got Hardline, which reduces the cost of kill streaks, field upgrades, and armor plates. Now, this can be useful if it was maybe combined with some other perks and making it a bit cheaper to buy like UAVs or whatever, because UAVs are expensive now, so it's going to make Hardline a bit more of a useful perk. But still, considering that you can find cash around very easily, and there's no other benefit to using this perk, which there should be. Tempered is one of my favorite perks to use, especially on Rebirth game modes or even Iron Trials as well, because having the ability to fully utilize your armor plates that you do have is going to allow you to stay in way more gunfights, especially if you're running low on actually looting up armor plates. Tempered is going to allow you to make the full use of that. Rebirth is really good to use Tempered on, and that is the kind of game mode I mainly use it on, because you don't get a lot of time to play it up as well, so it does cut your plating time down to maybe 2/3 of what it used to be, so you only need to put in 2 armor plates as well. So all these factors make Tempered a really useful perk in my opinion. Then we've got Overkill. We all know what Overkill does. It allows you to carry 2 primary weapons always extremely useful in that first loadout because everyone wants their 2 best guns. So Overkill is extremely solid. Then we've got High Alert, which is an okay perk in my opinion. First of all, you can hear footsteps from dead silence players. Now, there's not a lot of dead silence players in the game anymore, and hopefully they just remove dead silence from the game entirely as well, considering not a lot of people use it that much. But on top of that, you get to see where enemies are looking at you from. Now, I find it quite obnoxious on the screen having yellow bars, but for someone who maybe is hard of hearing, or maybe if someone that just kind of wants to know where players are pretty much all the time, then High Alert is a solid option because it will give you some indication of where enemies are and your instant kind of threats. Then we've got Ghost, and as you know, everyone uses Ghost pretty much all the time to stay off heartbeat sensors, UAVs. The Ghost will keep you off the minimap. Now, the only way Ghost does not keep you off the minimap, if someone's using an advanced UAV, you will show up on the minimap as a red dot. So definitely keep that in mind. So if you do hear an advanced UAV go up, then you will be showing up on the minimap. So definitely keep that in mind when you're using Ghost. Then we've got Point Man, which all members of your team earn more money from completed missions. Completely useless again. Every time you complete a contract inside Rebirth or Warzone, the money stacks anyway. So quickly recapping this, you want to use either Restocked, Tempered, Overkill, High Alert, or Ghost. Next up, we have the Perk 3 slot, and probably the worst perk slot in my opinion. And that's just because some of these perks make literally no sense. So first of all, we have Tune Up, which allows you to reduce revive time by 25%. Now, first of all, I feel like it should be 50% because reviving players in this game does take a while, and a reduction in 25% doesn't really help all that much. So 50% might make this perk way more viable, and on top of that, it should revive your teammates back to full health, not with any extra armor plates or anything like that, but just to full health, because I think that'll be extremely useful. So Tune Up is okay, but I do think it can be much better. Next up, we have Amped, and Amped used to be probably the best perk 3 for Verdansk, but now it's not really the best perk anymore. Now, it still allows you to swap weapons quicker, and it still allows you to reload your rocket launchers faster. Now, a lot of people don't really use rocket launchers all that much, so I mean, it's not really going to be all that valuable for just that particular reason. But when it comes to swapping weapons faster, a lot of the vanguard weapons kind of made this perk obsolete because you can actually use perks on the weapon itself that allows you to swap faster. So it kind of negates the amped perk, and you can't stack it with those perks as well, so it doesn't stack with the vanguard weapons. So amped, definitely still okay. I would recommend it if you do like to swap weapons quicker. Then we've got Combat Scout, which is in my opinion the best perk 3 you can use right now. And that's because it pretty much gives you wall hacks for a couple of seconds, and it allows you to see where players are moving to if you've done damage to them. It also highlights them to your teammates, and considering how bad the pinging system is right now, this is the only best way to ping players for your teammates. So definitely Combat Scout is probably the best option at the moment. And considering if you're playing Caldera, for example, that map, there's a lot of like places that you can wallbang. The map is made entirely out of paper, by the way, and you can shoot through pretty much every wall. So like I said, Combat Scout would be extremely useful for getting like a couple of extra downs through walls if you're using something like an LMG, for example. Shrapnel is completely useless because it allows you to spawn in with an extra piece of lethal equipment. Now on Warzone, this doesn't even work, so I don't even know why this perk's here. If it gave you like 3 grenades and 3 stuns or whatever, then maybe this perk would get used a lot more with Restocked, and that could be a really good loadout, and I think it'd actually be really solid for people that need to kind of use equipment to win gunfights. But that is not how it works, unfortunately. Battle Harden would have been a really good perk if it actually worked really well and kind of stopped the effect of stuns a bit more, in my opinion, and with flashes too, because as soon as you get flashed or stunned, you're pretty much guaranteed to be dead at this point. That's how powerful flashes and stuns still are. But it also reduces EMPs, gas effects, and it also makes you immune to snapshots, which is kind of handy, I suppose. But like I said, it's mainly the stuns and the flashes that are the most powerful. And they don't really help all that much towards reducing the effects of it. So either they need to reduce the effect even more to make it more viable, because it's not really that good at the moment. Engineer's kind of cool, like hacking enemy equipment. I've seen this being used more on Verdansk because of the higher buildings, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to Caldera, it's really hard to spot these things anyway. So I don't really think engineer's all that useful to hack enemy equipment, and most people use semtexes and stuns anyway, so there's nothing really to hack in the first place. Then we've got tracker. Tracker is solid if you're struggling to see where players are camping, for example. If you're struggling to figure out where players are, if they're camping in buildings and you can just see the footsteps, you know that they'll be camping in that building. So the best perks here are going to be amped, combat scout, and tracker. So there we have it. Those are the best perks that are currently inside Warzone at the moment. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 50k subscribers. Click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel, and thank you very much for watching.